Bilibili, or Chinese YouTube with steroids. I thought Bilibili was an anime streaming platform, but turns out it's also kinda like YouTube. People can post videos of everything basically, just like YouTube. Anyway, I found some drawing tutorials and many of them are crazy long, like more than an hour long. But the tutorial is divided into bite-sized pieces. Reminds me of online classes actually. Today we're gonna try some hair painting tutorials from Bilibili. We've tried some tutorials from Chinese Pinterest, now let's try some from Chinese YouTube. Before going to the painting, let's cover the drawing first, which includes sketching and line art. To move things along, I will use a 3D model head from CSP to draw the bald head. I like using CSP because you can modify the model and change the angles easily, but you can also look for different models and angles on Pinterest. I'll be starting the first tutorial with Genshin's new character, Kirill Chudomirovich Flins. Pretty sure I botched his name, but regardless, a very Kirillian name. He looks like a grave undertaker, so let's not draw him smiling. First, I will draw the hairline. This is the guideline I usually use, a cross to determine the middle of the face, and a circle for the temple. Then just draw the hairline. There are a lot of hairline references you can Google or look on Pinterest if this method doesn't work for you. First tutorial is from 教画画的马老师. I think the C is to replace 师 in 老师, which means teacher. So the name means Teacher Ma, who teaches drawing. They split the tutorial into 4 sections, but I'm going to focus on the second one, where they show you how to divide hair into parts. You can check out the full tutorial yourself, all the links will be in the description, but basically, split the bald head into 3 sections. I'm using different colors so it's easier to differentiate. For 3/4 angles, the red part would be the biggest, then followed by green, and lastly, using blue for the smallest part. Now we move on to sketching. Teacher Ma's first section covers a comprehensive topic on sketching hair strands, from how to simplify the hair, how you should treat them like ribbons, how to draw hair realistically. It's quite detailed. You can check out the full tutorial yourself, but for my drawing, I will sketch the hair like I normally do. I start with a rough sketch and I'm using the colors according to the guide. It really helps to visualize the different parts of the hair, and it's easier when doing the line art or clean sketch because you know exactly which section you're drawing. Okay, let's skip the clean sketch progress because there's nothing interesting here, just redrawing the sketch but cleaner. I have also filled in the base color, but why does my Flins look very lively and joyful? We absolutely cannot have that. Flins is very tired of everything. Maybe, I assume. He looks like he'll be good friends with Al-Haytham and they would hang out just to complain about work and life. And speaking of Al-Haytham, there will be Sumeru Chronicled Wish on 6.0 update, which means I can finally C1 my Al-Haytham. Is C1 Al-Haytham good? I don't care actually, I will C1 him anyway. First coloring tutorial is from Chi Chi He He. That's how you read it, I think. They seem to use watercolor brush to paint hair and it looks fairly simple, so let's try it. The watercolor brush they use looks really soft, so I'll be using flat watercolor opaque too. I know I said it sucks before, but it's more suitable for this tutorial instead of my usual flat watercolor opaque. Anyway, first, shade the lower part of the hair softly. I'm using a multiply layer for this, and then I made another multiply layer and added a darker shadow in the shape of a curve. Make sure the middle part of the hair stays lighter. I added yet another multiply layer to add small shadows to define the hair strands. Now this is where it gets tricky. Actually, not really, it's quite simple, but you do need to pay attention because you need to consider the hair as layers, and as layers, they're overlapping. So you need to determine which part of the hair is on top and which one is on the bottom. The bottom part would have a shadow from the hair on top of it. If you're confused which hair is which, you can bring back the sketch where the hair is divided with different colors, or look for other artists' work and see how they simplify the hair. Afterwards, we paint over the sketch or rendering. I've made a dedicated video about rendering, so I won't talk about it much here, but basically, use a full opacity brush for rendering hair because hair can easily lose definition as you render. I've also switched to the original flat watercolor opaque because it generates denser color. Make sure the smaller, darker shadows on overlapping hair are still intact. Don't blend it too much. For value intensity, you can follow Chi Chi He He's result. Dark on top, light in the middle, and midtones on the bottom. But again, this depends on the light source, so just consider it as the rule of thumb, nothing too constricting. Now we're moving on to drawing the hair strands, and to add natural looking hair strands, let's take a portion of Lindsay's hair. So this is what I usually do, and I see the original tutorial also do basically the same thing, but I think they use a certain brush that automatically gives outline. So first we're going to take a really dark color. I'm picking the color from here, and then I will use it to kind of make a silhouette of the hair strands. Now use the lighter color to add more dimension and make the hair strands look 3D. So you actually need to shade your hair strands so it doesn't look off from the rest of the hair. So this dark shadow only acts as an outline and also the shadow to show that the hair strands is actually on top of the bigger part of the hair. Don't forget to blend the shadow so it doesn't look too harsh. I don't actually include these hair strands in my final result, but this is just to show you in more details how I draw the hair strand. Let's make another one, this time like a very short hair strands. But the concept is pretty much the same. Use the dark shadow first to make the outline of the hair strands, and then use the existing hair color to shade the hair strands. Sometimes you have to add more highlight because you want to differentiate the hair strand from the rest of the hair. And yeah, that's basically how I draw hair strands. If you guys know any good outline brushes for IB's Paint or Procreate or CSP or any other drawing apps so that we can quickly draw the hair strands, please do let me know. Share your knowledge in the comments. And the rest is just rendering as usual. I think because I shade the hair properly, it's easier to render the hair. So yeah, do your shading properly before you render and your future self will thank you. Flinsa's hair is lighter at the bottom, so I'm duplicating the lower part of the hair and fixing the color using hue and saturation and setting the layer to screen, and then fix the shading. The next tutorial comes from Melvin Feet. For this tutorial, I will draw another new Genshin character, Lauma. Is it Loma or Lauma? I think it's Lauma. But holy motherlode, look at those donkers! Wow, I'm such an incel. Anyway, let me prepare the bald head first and sketch the hair. I didn't split the hair into 3 parts like before, but honestly, I really should, because the guidelines make it so much easier to draw. Okay, let's go back to the tutorial. So Melvin Feet's art style seems to be a combination of cell shading and paint roulette look. Holy shit, what is this? You can't stop watching it once you start. The more... Okay, I think Bilibili is not as restricted as YouTube. Happiness that others don't understand. You mean like using candles not for their original purposes? I mean, no judgment here, you know. I'm not fetish shaming or anything. You do you. But the happiness I do know is drawing while listening to some kick-ass music. Hey, stop dancing around. Emangnya DPR? Yuji sent me these free sound inspiration open earbuds, and they're so adorable. Even the packaging is so beautiful with variety of flowers, you know, not just plain white box with text. The earbuds have this silicone wrap that you can hook to your ears, so you don't have to worry about them falling off when you're moving around. Don't believe me? Here, let me show you. See, still intact. Whether you're running, jumping, or rocking to your favorite music, Yeah, I need to stop doing that. I'm genuinely dizzy. Or just listen to music or podcast while chilling and drawing. These earbuds are so comfortable to wear for a long period of time because they don't actually go inside your ear holes like regular earbuds. They also have smart touch control, so you can pause, play the next music or podcast, and adjust the volume only by touching the earbuds. You can read more about the interaction in their guidebook, but honestly, it's very intuitive and you will learn it in no time. UG Freesound earbuds also have acoustic Hold on. Here it is. Acoustic balancing technology and directional acoustics technology. I'm not gonna pretend I know what any of that means, but what I do know, they make the sound quality much better. I'm gonna use this to listen to a lot of 80s. So mingy in my ears. UG also sent me this adorable UT2 fun drawing pad. It's a standalone tablet powered by Android, so you don't need to connect it to your computer, and you can actually use it for other things like for school or work because it's a tab, okay? It's not just a drawing tab. And I actually prefer smaller tablets like this one over huge ones because they're light and portable, so it's very convenient when you want to work outside, and it doesn't hurt your shoulder because it's so light. Thank you UG for sending me these cool gadgets. Check out UG, link in the description, and let's get back into the video. Now that we've got the base color, let's apply the soft shadows using flat watercolor opaque 2. I think for soft shadows in the future, I might switch to this brush instead of using the airbrush all the time. Now I will shade it according to the tutorial. Afterwards, we're going to add small dark shadows on overlapping parts of the hair. I suggest using a sharp, solid brush for a cleaner look, but I'm still using my watercolor brush because I want to keep the painterly look. Apply these dark shadows on the areas further from the light source. Then we're applying the lighter shadows for midtones to add volume. I apply the midtones mostly on the area closer to the light source. You can find more references if you can't figure out where to place the shadows and midtones. I merge all the layers and now I will paint over the sketch. I will fix the shadow shape into this shape. This is like a water drop shape. I also soften the brush texture by blending it so it looks cleaner. This is kinda hard for me because cell shading is not my forte obviously, but I'm trying to keep the shadows in clean, big shapes. Kinda regret using the flat watercolor opaque brush for this tutorial though, but then again, I don't like shading with solid brushes, so yeah. Anyway, now is the time to add the highlight. Melvin Fit use small, sharp highlights. It looks fairly simple, but it looks gorgeous. So let's try it out. I noticed Lauma has greenish highlights on her hair. And what do you know? It's the complement of her hair color. Complementary color combinations never go wrong. And super easy too. Just take two colors directly on the opposite side of each other in the color wheel. Okay, I think I made the highlight more complicated than it's supposed to be. In the original tutorial, it's supposed to be a very teeny tiny highlight, but mine looks like it's doused with green slime. I'm so sorry, mother. I mean Lauma. Next, we're outlining the shadow so they look more prominent. On a new layer, I will cover the whole drawing with black and change the blending mode into color dodge. I normally use muted red or pink for soft lights, but use whatever color you like. If it looks off, you can always change it with hue and saturation. This is optional, but I like to use unsharp mask to sharpen the image since my drawing is more painterly than it is cell shading. Anyway, that's 3 hair drawing tutorials from Bilibili. I will probably try some more in the future because there are a lot of great tutorials that I don't get to cover in this one video. And yeah, go give it a try. Check out the amazing artist I mentioned in this video, link in the description. And thank you guys for watching this video. Stay safe and take care of each other. Bye!